Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers in association with Leaf Spirits. I'm I.
Hello, I'm Colin.
Morning, I'm John.
How's both doing today?
All right. Nice and early this morning.
It is sharp.
Aye, I got a lion this morning. Got up at 7:30. Neighbour, she had a wee sleepover at the Grands last night.
Ah, happy days. So why'd you get up at 7:30?
Because that's what constitutes a lion.
Tell us, the bairn's away, but then what came you were up to, John? Sorry.
No, there was nothing
He's
like
got
that.
a smile on his face.
Aye. No wonder you come on in a good mood. Right. We're on a good mood today anyway, like Hibs got a win yesterday.
Have you got a strip one? That's it. First time. But I probably jinxed it now. I should have probably kept it for Thursday. Wednesday,
Wednesday night. Aye.
Thursday should have kept it.
So is that just remind me? Is that able to score through the no win a league game since December?
Since early December. As well, because you had to get the early part in as well. It wasn't
the early December.
It wasn't enough to just say December.
Aye, that made up for the winter break, didn't it?
Yeah. Aye, that covered it.
Removed that justification.
Is that right? Somebody said it was the 9th. I thought it was even the week before that. But
was it? I thought it was the 2nd of December when we beat.
That was the Aberdeen game, I think.
Was it?
I don't know who we played the week after that. I read somewhere saying it was the 9th, but
so long ago.
I know. But then, as you said, like it's that's just that thing, eh? We've not won a game for 2.5 months, and like I've never played. I think I've seen Bingo and Hibs.net say I've never played in January.
Aye.
You know what I mean? It's one of them. It's like
we've games in there that we won both of them.
We've not won a league game 3 months, and you're like, it's 1st of August. Like we play any games in June or July.
Aye.
And like in the May was the cup final. Ken, it's like the early May or something was the last game. Like it's fucking just like put it however you want, eh?
But I tell you what, before we go into the team lineup, I'll just kind of get your thoughts on the game, just a wee summary, and then we'll break it down. John, I'll come to you first. What was your overriding view of the game yesterday?
I came away from it feeling largely positive. I think there was a couple of opportunities throughout the game for really good goals for Hibs, just like individual strikes. So thinking about Martin Boyle's on the half volley. There was the Joe Newell, Marcondes and Maolida sort of interlinking a play. And I think that's something that's been missing for Hibs for a while. That sort of, and actually you saw it last week against Aberdeen as well, where I beat Newell, Marcondes. Quite a lot of the stuff that I've seen for Hibs at times this season, especially when we've been under the cosh a bit and the manager's been under a bit of pressure, it seems like very one-dimensional, lacking in imagination. But I think we're starting to see that, so that gives me reason for optimism for the remaining games. I think first half yesterday, Hibs it wasn't a classic football game, but there was a lot of quality for Hibs, a lot of chances. And we should have had 3 goals. I thought Venti's second that was chalked off was a really good finish for him. Really good, quick free kick. And the finish for Maolida at the end to win it was phenomenal. Just really, he seems to be unhurried and very relaxed on the ball. Mm-hmm. And I think that Joe Newell's got a similar quality, just kind of unflappable. But what they do is quite effective at the same time.
Yeah. Colin, what about you?
I'd almost add to that. It was a comfortable win, even though it was 2-1, and because it was only 2-1. It's what I mean. It's 2-2 coming in. But I felt like on edge towards the end, even though it was only 2-1. It was I thought it was quite comfortable. Their keeper kind of kept them in it with a few saves. So it was good. It was decent. Some decent stuff. The leader kind of playing out there on the left a wee bit a lot of the time. I thought.
So there's a wee bit of evidence.
But it was nice comfy win.
It's funny how the boy Carson was kind of the hero and the villain yesterday with some of his stuff, because the narrative was he kept Aberdeen from getting Dundee for getting a doing, but he's also instrumental in one of their goals.
Aye. It was one of those ones like we've seen that for Hibs keepers over the years. Where they could have a good game and then chuck one in, and
we'd see it for goalies
Carson
as soon as
yesterday.
that penalty he gave away. Like, fucking hell, that's just the goalie like looking at how to play football. That's what that is. It's like he dropped that fair enough, and then he's volleyball played it to the next bit, and then he's just fucking that tackle he's doing. What that shows he's never played football in his life. Like that tackle, that's a goalie.
I think the last time I saw a goalkeeper doing anything like that was during one of Hibs' last European adventures. Do you remember? Remember when we played Reka? Who was the team before that? I'm sure they had a keeper come running out into almost no man's land and cleaning at a Hibs player for a penalty. I forget the name of the team.
Forget the name of that team as well. Okay, right. Let's we'll talk about the penalty in a wee bit more depth as we go on. Starting lineup yesterday: Marshall, Miller, Fish, Fenty, Boyle, Newell, Miziam, Marcondes, Abita, Mariah Welsh, and Rocky. So the changes there, we had Rocky came in for Triantis, who was on the bench. Emiliano came on, and also Vente. So a lot of talk through the week about Vente not featuring against Aberdeen. He started yesterday. Colin, were you surprised to see Vente starting?
I suppose I probably shouldn't have been, but I think I probably was because he never even got a minute last week because he's a bit erratic, eh? Like normally, like if you're in and about that, you'd get some minutes and then you'd have done enough to get in the team, but he never got any minutes. So I probably shouldn't be surprised based on the amount of money we paid for him and how that he's appeared to be like our is he our top scorer this season so far? Even though Johannes maybe he's one of your top scorers despite playing him in for it. When he won, I don't know. I think I was surprised, but probably shouldn't have been.
John, we was talking to my son as we were going into the game about Vente and how the system that we've been playing hasn't really suited him up until now, really. Yesterday he played through the middle, stayed forward much more often. Is that a sign you think that we've found a system to get the best out of him?
Could be. It could be that it's less about the system and more about the players around him that allows the system.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when he came in, excuse me, sorry, when he came in, when Hibs signed him, Johnson was in charge. We got a few goals at him at the start of the season in the European games, etc. And Hibs made a thing about him having scored with every single chance. And it was almost like that was the reverse Jonah, like the reverse Jonah button. Never scored for ages after that. But if you remember the team that Johnson had at that time and what he was playing ultimately got him sacked.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a lot of hard yards since then trying to get the best out of Vente because as Colin says, like he is like the big tent signing, the marquee signing. Lot of money, a lot of expectation on him. And he was delivering on those expectations to begin with, because similar to what I was saying about like Maolida before, he kind of goes about there's a lot of effort there, you can see it, but there's a lot of, I'm almost reluctant to say like sort of hidden work. There's a lot of effort, but the product isn't always at the end of it with regards to goals. And there's been that massive chunk of time when Montgomery's came in and Montgomery's trying to implement his style of play, etc. But it was misfiring. It wasn't quite working out as well. There was changes with regards to wingers playing really wide, playing a bit more off the touchline kind of thing. But now we've got a whole bunch of new players having come in as well that seems to allow Vente at least to do less work and focus more on being a striker rather than a false nine or a whatever the fuck else you want to describe it as.
That's a good answer. That was what I said to my son as well, John. So I'm happy that you reiterated that because I think you're spot on.
Thanks.
Colin, Rocky coming in as well. So Chantis signed in January, dropped to the bench. Rocky came in. How do you think he got him?
All right, done his job. But I wasn't surprised at that one. I think it'd been kind of hinted at during the week. You know, there was a photo of them on Friday training, Fish and Rocky together, and Montgomery had mentioned them a couple of times, so I wasn't really surprised at that. But it's funny. We've went we've got to sign centre halves in the window and that, and back to the two we had over the window.
Before it,
I was just going to ask, Colin, I don't know if any of you had noticed, one of our listeners, Raymond, has got a theory that whoever Hibs tweet pictures of on the Friday, you can expect to see them in the starting lineup, particularly if they've been in the squad, etc. Did any of you see whether that theory proved true?
Well, I seen the Rocky one, and that was what that kind of that was a blow on Friday. I says, I reckon Rocky will be starting because somebody touch you off in that. And I'm like, nah, just seen the photo and
You should have said aye. We tap in the nose. I'm in the know.
Can you see, mate? Can you see?
one thing that we noticed, and probably it's a theme since the Inverness game, was the strength of the bench. So on the bench with Wallacott, Hanlon, Yuan, Mayenda, Amos, Stevenson, Lafondra, Triantis, and Jair. It's quite a strong bench as well, but with plenty of options there. And I think, John, going back to what you were saying about the players being available that lets us play a different system, I think now we've almost got to a position where we can make changes without drastically weakening the 11 that are on the pitch.
I thought it's a curious point about the bench and how strong it is, because I think what you saw yesterday was, especially with the Triantis coming on for Marcondes, I saw a wee suggestion that was a baffling change, which is one of those things that get levied at managers. What I saw on the bench yesterday was a lack of, I want to say central midfield options.
Mm-hmm.
So you find yourself in a situation where Marcondes comes off and a centre half replaces him. That was a curious one, but I guess at that, I think back to Dave Graham's comment on the Down the Slope podcast. Like, we can sit as fans and we criticise a lot, but the guy that's in charge has a UEFA Pro licence, so there has to be a rationale and a justification for him to do certain things, despite us not agreeing with him. What do you think his rationale was yesterday for substituting Marcondes for Triantis?
Question, John. I have no idea. Like, I was baffled at that. I mean, and it probably was the substitution I would have picked. But then you look at the bench, and probably if you're looking for a defensive midfielder, we've not got one there to come on. So he'd already brought Amos on.
Could have brought Hanlon.
Yeah,
Hanlon's more comfy on the ball, but I'm looking at the subs. I didn't realise they were all so late. Other than Amos was just done never, but the others were all like 84 to 89 minutes. It was really late. Normally it's like your triggers are 16, 70, 75 minutes usually, and you're sort of the times where you're expecting a sub to be made, despite them not having any licenses. Did you stick to the three times? But because they're kind of 89, 84, they're almost like run the clock down, take the sting out of the game, or 2-1 up once. Interesting, the bench. So you mentioned the bench, it looks strong, but that's where the young lad is out again, eh? Not that. No.
Aye. So is that, I mean, maybe that's a conversation for another day, but is that the dilemma Hibs manager has, that in order to kind of play at the level that we want to play at, you can't really afford to begin?
There's 4 of them didn't get on. We've got 9 subs. Like Stevenson ever getting on?
So what would you have swapped Stevenson out for Whittaker, for example?
Yeah. Or in the face of it, or then you've got
or Molotnikov,
as well, because Molotnikov for we're saying my wacky midfield options here, but my end has obviously just came in and taken one of the midfield spots ahead of Molotnikov and didn't get on. And you've got Tavares gets on, but then again, why not Molotnikov ahead of Tavares? So I think there's.
I think this is part of the question as to what do we think the rationale is. It doesn't have to be a negative. Like, thinking about it for a sort of positive perspective, for what, like in terms of driving the club forward, why do the manager and the coaching staff make the decisions that they do? Because it's one of those kind of never-ending dilemmas. You want, like, so to go to your point, Matty, you want to be a better football club, so you want your best players on the pitch, but you also want youth coming through at the same time. But if the youth aren't of the same quality as the guys that you brought in, well, the youth didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
What do you do?
That's the problem, because we weren't winning games, but with the young boys in, and not to put the blame at the feet of the young boys at all, but I think it just shows that if the now in the situation that we're in, manager needs to go with experience as much as possible. Like experience and quality is what he's picking the now to get us out.
In the team, I'm talking about the bench. Like, and these guys on the bench were playing in that losing run as well. So.
Yeah, they were, but I think they impacted the game more when they were on the pitch. By the times that they've got it, but I take your point that if you're not putting a sub on, it might as well be a young sub than a 6-year-old sub.
You know what I mean? It's,
There's a difference there seems to be a difference in the way of thinking. It's almost like where you could have a senior professional on the bench that doesn't get a game, whereas if you have a young professional who's trying to make his way in the game, you didn't play him. Well, that's fucking terrible. You shouldn't be doing that. But it still doesn't answer the question of how does the club improve if if they're not of the required standard.
Aye, you need to improve the standard of young players. Although again, that sounds like we're sort of dumping on the young players. I think that's
I'm
fair.
encouraging it with them. I think some of them are good enough, and they're not getting a chance.
They've shown well when they've played. Okay, into the game itself, first half it took a wee while to get going, but I think probably by about the halfway point of the first half, we started to impose ourselves on the game. John, did you? One of the criticisms that came about for Hibs is that we didn't, or on this podcast, anyway, we sort of asked the question: what does a typical Hibs goal look like? Do you think we started to see a style of play emerging now over the last few games and into that first half yesterday?
You might need to remind me of the Aberdeen game. I'm thinking about the goals and some of the. Well, actually, I think I referenced it before with regards to the Newell goal and the attempt for Maolida yesterday with some of the interplay that was going on. Like, it was the interplay, but also the almost like the understanding, the almost telepathic communication between the players. Like, there was no pointing, there was no like set instruction. It was just, I'm going to dink a ball in here because I know that you can do something with it. There's just a little bit of understanding. So hopefully there's a bit more of that. But there was also, I thought yesterday was more in terms of like individual efforts. I referenced Martin Boyle's volley. So it was more, there seems to be more of a keenness of, right, we're going to get the ball into the box because we know there's players there, but we're also not afraid to hit a shot, have a shot for distance either. So I think the typical Hibs goal and the style of play that we've seen previously, it's all been very samey. Like, I feel like I've seen like a lot of the same attacks for Hibs over the years, but if you're looking, you need to have that variety, because otherwise teams will just set up. They're just going to say, well, if it's that same one-dimensional stuff, it's right, Hibs are going to put the ball wide, they're going to swing it in, and then we'll just nod it away. That's it. They could just set themselves up for that. But if you have different players doing different things and putting themselves in different positions and having different opportunities at goal, it's got to keep the opposition guessing.
Mm-hmm. Colin, by the time we got the penalty, did you think the goal was coming?
Aye, I think so. Yeah, trying to remember back, but yeah, I think we were the better team throughout the game. I think 2-1 makes it feel like we've just kind of scraped by, and that's maybe what we need to break that fucking 10-month run or whatever it was. Winning a game, but it's like it was. As I said at the start, it's like I thought it was a comfy 2-1, and their goal was kind of almost against the grain. So I did. I think it was coming.
And the penalty, so Colin, you sort of touched on it already. And John, what do you think the keeper was thinking?
Fuck!
Right, you could almost get upset as it was happening. Eh?
Do you know it was if David Marshall's punch clearance and collision with Miovski was manslaughter, what is Carson's half in Marcondes yesterday, right as in the criminal scale?
Well, I know, you're right. There was another one. He came for. I'm sure he came for a punch later on. I'm sure. And I thought, oof, like he got to the ball first, but I thought, that's like attempted manslaughter.
If that's a thing. I think it
Is
would
that
have been
GBH?
just assault. I think it was like petty assault or something like that for the one on Marconi's. Didn't they get booked for it? I thought
No,
it
I
was
thought that was wild.
I know it's wild.
It's a booking all day long.
It's only
even-
because he never got booked.
Aye, that's exactly it. It's like Big Man Craig Gordon broke his leg, and he should have got sent off, and they didn't send him off out of sympathy. Fucking mental.
Mind the Spanish keeper wiped out Robertson and took him out of the game for about 3-4 months.
Aye,
And I didn't even got a free kick.
mental. Keepers get away with everything, They really do.
I was going to mention, this is one for the older listeners, but do you remember Gascoigne? And was it the FA Cup final when he was running about daft? There was at Nottingham Forest, and he's gone through the ball. And he got booked as he was getting stretchered off, I'm sure. If not sent off.
Yeah. No, I think he got booked.
So it is possible. Like it's bizarre. Like it shouldn't be a justification. I think this is where, again, like audio, maybe even opportunity to get a referee on to talk about these things. Like, why is it Carson wasn't booked in that instance? Like would the referee, if we get them on, would they have booked Carson? If not, why not? Because for me, this is one of the penalties that I've described before, where it is clear. Like he's just cleaned the player out. There's no nuance. It's no about like who got to the ball first and whether like hand was made with contact. Carson cleans it. Marconde's clear penalty. So how's he not booked? But I get the double jeopardy thing, but it's the challenge alone is worthy of a booking.
Aye, it's not a red
It's
card,
not
is it?
double
Like
jeopardy for that, no. Double jeopardy is the red card one, and it's a goal scoring opportunity, isn't it? And you've got to need an attempt at the ball and all.
Right, okay.
So that was just like a goalie being like completely out of sorts because they're not standing on the goal line. And thinking, fuck, I'm actually playing football now. Like, rather than being a goalie. And it was just that it's embarrassing when you see a keeper doing that. You think, why do you not practice that then? Like, not dropping the ball and chasing after it like that, but why do you not practice, like, putting tackles in and stuff? Like,
it's interesting because a lot of the videos that I see are often about keepers, like reflexes and reactions and what have you. So you maybe see like the sort of cargo net thing, and the ball gets rolled in, the ball can bounce anywhere for them to make a save. But I wonder how you reverse that to try and get them to like you say, like make a challenge, because I wonder how you quantify that psychologically, because I can understand, like, as a goalkeeper, like, generally speaking, you are in and around the 6-yard box, but beyond that, like, the penalty spot, what the fuck am I doing here? That must be really quite odd for them. Unless they're, like, ball in hand and they're, like, kicking the ball or whatever. But
I'm all in favour of it, like, as long as it's no Uruguay, like, I'm all in favour of it. I think more keepers should do it, like, it adds a bit of fun to the game, if nothing else.
I know. It is embarrassing when it's yours, because we've had it. I think it was Marciano, but St Johnston came running out, and you're like, because they didn't even look like they're running normally. I don't know if it's the weight of the gloves or something, but they always look like they run.
Do you remember Nick Colgan's first game for Hibs? I want to say it was up at Kilmarnock, and I think it was after Scalpson had been dropped, and Colgan comes running off the goal line, but away over to the corner flag, and everyone's just looking at the goal like, what the fuck are you doing?
I still remember. I was still playing rugby, right? So it was in Saturday evening games used to get, and Hibs were up at Aberdeen. It was a Saturday evening kick-off in Friday, and I'd went up to and the game in that in the telly. We're losing 1-0 quite late on in the game, and kind of sometimes the goalie goes up. They only went up to the halfway line. So they broke away and scored, because then he's tried to do the run back.
I remember that.
And Billy McBail just stood up, launched his empty fag packet at the telly. The telly for fuck off to get the think and the fuck. Fuck you idiot! Fucking like. And he's like, "What if you've got up? Go up, yeah, fucking." He's bad. What you did? Right, and I feel fucking brilliant. Some boy, eh? Folk really rate him. Colgan, we've just totally annihilated him in two.
No, he was good enough keeper, Colgan. Right, there's a conscious time. The penalty itself, Venti tucked it away after a wee bit of discussion with Marcondes. I think if they were arguing about who was going to take it, but Venti stepped up, tucked it away. Right, I'm not looking for fault here. He scored it. Right, so it's a good penalty in that it went in. if the keeper guesses right, is he getting slaughtered for how close to the keeper it was when he put it in? Or are we happy because he's giving the keeper the eyes and he's waiting for the keeper to
I think
move?
it only matters. It only matters if the goalie saves it, because it's like it's one of them. He knows the goalie you've got to get to it, so you didn't need to then risk it by going into the corner. On the standard, Charlie was saying, my brother-in-law was saying, he reckons Marcondes was standing protecting the penalty spot almost. Kind of defenders come out to
Aye, to dig
try
up.
and kick because they sit in that end, so they didn't look like they were arguing. Was his point on it rather than the discussion that we taken. But
That's quite clever. You'd expect that if I play the McConaughey's quality, like to have that wee sort of speed of thought to go, let's have no shenanigans here. I'll take
Well,
control of the situation.
I think Vente was saying afterwards, his post-match comments were that Marcondes did want to take it. My thoughts at the time were, Marcondes has said to Vente, well, like, you better go on the scoreline. But Marcondes was having a laugh, I think, if he was wanting to take it, because like just how many seconds prior he'd been rolling about, acting like he just about fell off. So nah, like I'm happy that, and actually I'm happy that Vente took it. But I did have the conversation with my mate about, well, who is going to take it? Is it because we've had that conversation recently about the penalty takers who should? Boyle's missed a couple recently.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be quick
if
up
no
with
one,
Maolida, Marcondes or Benny taking a penalty now. You know, like when we were scrapping about when who's going to take it if Boyle, after Boyle missed that one in the derby, who's taking the next one? This is the next one. But by then we've got 3 players there that you would go any one of them.
Yeah. Should it be? Do you think it should be the player that gets fouled that takes the penalty, or should it be your chosen penalty taker? Aye.
I think it should be chosen penalty taker, or who's feeling the most confident, because if it's chosen penalty taker, I think I didn't fancy this one, which is unlikely, but that could happen. So I think you should have somebody to practice that rather than just and generally a goal scorer as well, but not always the case, because I think Presley used to score loads of penalties, so he was at half centre half, so.
Okay, so we're going half time 1-0. I thought we were unlucky not to be a bit further ahead by half time. Second half we came out and we were on fire. Really, the start of the second half, Hibs were terrific for a period up until we score, and it gets disallowed after a VAR check. Let's talk about that just briefly. I don't kind of necessarily dwell on VAR because we seem to have devoted hours to it recently, but it was a big decision because it gave Dundee a lift at that point, like a lift in a game that they were never really in. All of a sudden, they'd had a wee bit of a break. You look at the lines that have been drawn, it's a cracking finish for Vente. Do we just have to accept he was offside?
Yeah.
As much as it's unpalatable.
Aye, well, it's meant to be black and white, eh? Like, we're trying to make reasons for it not being. It's like, that's a black and white one, but how can you dispute it? You know, the annoying thing is it takes that long, and then it gives them a boost. It was like the Aberdeen semi-final, eh? It's like that close again.
Aye.
That the other team gets the boost to us scoring.
Yeah.
But it's annoying because it was so close, and that's where football. You need to get the benefit of the doubt to the striker. You're like, well, there's no benefit of the doubt. It's black and white.
Aye,
like there's no. Aye.
Yeah.
But I just, it is annoying because it was John mentioned it earlier, but Neil quick free kick to Boyle, and Boyle just played on a plate, and Benny's finish is like a really, really nice finish in the bottom corner. It was a really good goal, other than being a fucking ball here, or a midget's ball here, maybe even offside.
Aye.
I think what was funny for me was watching it back earlier. The Dundee players are immediately claiming for offside. Like that's just footballers doing footballer things.
Aye.
But it's such a. I think VAR and like the lines like that is a situation to some extent that we've created for ourselves, because like Colin says, like we wanted these black and white decisions, and as much as I would prefer that there was daylight between those lines that says that Vente is clearly off, it does come down to like a smidgen. And it's annoying, but I'm trying to take
one of the ones when somebody scores against us, because it always that's like we had the Melkerson one, the Boyle one, and that one where it's like ball hair stuff, and you're going, how come like when the looks are close one against us, it's never that marginal, kind of like that goes to your favour, but still that's just perception.
I'm trying to take as much as the goal was disallowed. I'm trying to take the positives out of it, which is as Colin says there, like the quick free kick, the delivery from Martin Boyle. Martin Boyle's deliveries yesterday, and I want to say for a few weeks now, have been really, really good. I remember when he started hitting corners, was it under, was it as early as Lennon? But I remember when it was, when he started taking corners, I remember a few eyebrows being raised, but actually I think that's one of the things that's really improved about his game. And his delivery for Venti in the finish, like I don't think it was an easy finish to get the direction that Venti got in it to direct into the far corner. So I think that's an
the
indicator
ball's
of his
dropping over
quality.
your shoulder. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
The ball's dropping over your shoulder like that as well, first time. It was a really good finish. It's
Excellent.
looked easy, but it's not easy.
Boyle's come back for the Asian Cup in really good form. Like that break away for the league football has done him the world of good. I think he's sort of looking back to his old self. I think
A wee bit sunshine during the winter period.
aye, that's it. He's me jolly, Colin. So Dundee get a wee lift. They do get back into the game. They get a goal through. I've forgotten about his name. The midfielder.
Was it McCowan?
Aye, McCowan. He's got a footballer's name. I was trying to remember what it is.
Toffee.
Aye. A decent goal again. I kind of at the time I was frustrated at the defending because I was like, it's just Hibs. We've given them one shot on goal. They've got a goal. But then I watched it back on Sports Scene, and I didn't really ken. Other than I think maybe Marshall could have done a bit better with it because it was fairly central when the ball went in. I don't know if we could have done much more about it. We win the headers in the box. The boys picked it up and taken a good shot, and it's gone through a raky body. So even to kind of give Marshall a reason for no saving it, it's come through a crowd. Do you have any thoughts on that, Colin? Like, could we have done better at
that? The guy was out there on his Todd, eh? Like, you know, he struck it really well, though, and I think BBC did give him the benefit, saying it's come through, he's seen it late. And it looked like it maybe skipped up just before, you know, it skipped up just as he was going down, but it did look like he went down slow, but I suppose he's went down slow because he's not seen it till it was late as well. You know, that would be one reason for it. I'd like him to make more saves like that, but I don't know if I'm being harsh on him by saying he should have saved it.
Harsh on Marsh?
Don't know. I don't know. It was a good strike for the boy. Like, it's one of them. Like, we were in a line, we've headed it out, but then we've not followed it out, or nobody's sort of creeping over that section. I'm not really sure what you meant to do. Like, should somebody be? Because we've always got an attacking player there, right? So, or a opposing player there. So I don't know why we wouldn't try and cover that yourself. Or as if you're saying, you know what, we've covered this. Shoot if you want.
I think that's the principle behind it, because if you look at like Martin Boyle's volley that you referred to, John, it's a similar situation. Dundee are defending their box, and we've got players at the edge of the box to pick up the ball coming out, and Boyle smashes it in. But you see that a lot. Like, most of the time, if the ball's cleared out to the edge of the box, it's an attacking player that will pick it up if the defending team sort of crowded into their box. So I think we probably went pretty textbook with the defender on it, and it's just been a good strike that's caught us out.
I think the suggestion was that Maolida should have been picking up, and he's let him go for a wander, and that's how he's been available for the shot. But it maybe highlights the difference in Boyle's chance. So we're saying it was a good effort for Boyle, and he's an attacking player in that position. But if we're Dundee fans and Boyle scores against us, you're saying, like, who should have been picking him up there? Who should have been closing him down?
Aye.
But thankfully, Maolida made amends for letting him go. But like you say, like, it was I don't know if it falls into the category of typical Hibs goals, but it reminded me of a little bit of the goal that we conceded against Aberdeen. Was it McGrath? Where there just seemed to be so many bodies, and all it needed was one touch, and somehow it found its wee avenue and passed Marshall into the back of the net.
Aye. We've seen a few times this season when Hibs have had a bit of adversity like that the arse has fallen into the team. Didn't happen on Saturday. We went back up the park and, almost immediately, not quite, but it was about 3 minutes or something, wasn't it, that between the goals. Maolida scores. Colin, you want to talk us through that goal?
Aye, so it started to be back in the defence. I think the first thing everybody remembers is Marconde's header, which was quality.
Oh, he knocks
so
it
they lay
wide,
up.
doesn't he?
Aye.
But I actually started a couple of passes. I think Newell and I'm not sure who else it was.
But
And
Amos wins the ball first.
Amos wins it.
Aye.
And then Newell knocks it to Marconde, he lays it off, and to Venti, and Venti just picks that cracking pass between the fullback and the centre half. I love that pass. We used to play that.
Aye.
Scott Allen used to play it a lot. And then Maolida, I'm shouting at him to fucking roll over to Boyle
Square it.
because Boyle's like in acres and it's just
Aye.
a tapping at the back post. But if you finish it, you finish it. So if he hadn't scored, I would have been more than like fuck that he didn't knock it over for Boyle. But it's a cracking finish. Just like more time than everybody on the ball and just scored it near post that the keeper didn't cover his selling glory there either, I don't think, but it was a good, really good goal.
Just on Maolida, he probably didn't have like a stellar debut like the first time we saw him. Since then, he's properly kicked on. It looks like a proper player. John, what did you think of his performance overall yesterday?
I'm trying to think of like standout moments. Like the two key ones were the defensive side and then the goal that he scored. Can you think of anything else that he's been involved in to help jog my memory?
So I thought he pretty much terrorised their fullback. Like for a lot of the game, he was turning them inside out. He had the volley in the first half that Carson saves, but I thought he was instrumental in a lot of the good stuff that we did.
There
yesterday.
was, when I was watching the game, I don't know, did any of you catch by a Leverkusen's game? Granit Xhaka scored this like left foot first time opposite top corner. So there was a chance for Maolida where I thought he was going to hit it first time on his right foot in a similar sort of situation on the edge of the box. And I think, as you said there about terrorising the fullback, there was another similar position where he found him in where he's feinting to go one way and going the other. It didn't quite pay off for him on that occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But then that was probably a hint of what was to come with the goal. Because he comes in for the left on his right foot, but does he check back on his left and that's what he finishes with?
Aye, scores with his left.
So that gives a wee bit of an indication of his ability to play on both sides of a front three. And actually, if that's true, and
Try to get Tavares back.
No. I was going to say,
how do I get him moved over and near the other side?
What I was going to say, the point I made last week was that he'd shown his ability through the middle, but he's shown his ability yesterday on the left, but he's come in on his right foot and finished with his left. So you've got to imagine that he's going to be able to do that on the right-hand side and finishing with his right. So that gives us a little bit of flexibility in amongst that front three, and I think possibly demonstrates that he's got a bit more ability to play across the front of a front three more than Venti, say. But that probably gives more reason to keep Venti playing through the middle.
Think we've got any chance of keeping him beyond the season?
What is he on? A 6 months loan or something?
Aye, to loan to the end of the season, but then he's got another year, I think, left at Hertha.
Ah, right, okay.
It's a really. I want to answer this for Maolida personal perspective rather than a football agent or Hibs perspective. Like as Colin mentioned previously, his career's been on a bit of a downward trajectory, which is why he finds himself at Hibs.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have 6 good months at Hibs and then go, right, fuck it, I'm going to go back to Hertha, I'm going to go to another club, or does he want to have a solid demonstration of his abilities? And that's probably where the Hibs aspect comes in, because I go, well, play for us for another season.
Depends what Hertha want as well, though, because if he does well, then he might say, you know what, actually,
Aye.
they've got him back up and running and got him confident.
But I'd imagine that's where Kensel earns his money there, because he's mentioned previously that he's part of the contract negotiations. Hertha don't want Maolida. They bumped him out to the B side, so then he start playing funny buggers and asking for stupid money. Let's come to an agreement.
Aye. Make it happen, Hibs. I'd like to see him back next season. Definitely, he's here along with likes of Mariah Welsh and Marcondes have definitely lifted the standard of the team, I would say. Just before we go into the talking points, yesterday was definitely like a must-win for us. was going into the game and I was thinking, right, Dundee were 5 ahead of us in the top 6. Had they won yesterday, they would have gone 8 ahead. There's no way we could have sort of legitimately said, look, we're in a false position and Dundee are in a false position. They are better than us, and we just have to accept it. Yesterday's win puts us 2 wins and a draw with them over the season, 2 points behind them. So they're still a bit ahead of us. If you're Montgomery, you're using that surely as a bit of motivation to the team to say, look, you are in a false position here, and actually you should be ahead of Dundee. What do you think it said about the mentality of the team yesterday that we put in such a good performance in such a high stakes game, Colin?
Mentality. Well, it should. I don't know. Should have got a bit of belief, especially when you lose a goal like that, because we've seen it before. That we go 1-0, and actually for there we might go on to lose it rather than come back, and it was instantly. Oh, it wasn't instant. Was it 3-4 minutes? You said, but
yeah,
it felt quite quick. For their goal, their goal. You know, it didn't feel like you had enough time to sit and for us to sit and go, here we go again, or this has got 2-1 written over it, and you know, all that kind of shit that you start seeing flying about. So I think the players maybe got a better mentality than some of us yesterday.
And John, how important was that win for Montgomery?
I thought it was really important. So I go back to, or make reference to your article in the Observer, because you mentioned that it was a must win, and I almost wanted to write something in response, like a different Longbangers view, because I wondered what the repercussions might have been had it not been a must win. Like, and I wondered about the framing of must win. Is it just must win? We must win this game if we want to realise our top 6 ambitions, or is it must win to realise our top 6 ambitions and because it speaks to Montgomery's future with Hibs? Because both. It would have. But I wondered. So you've got the result there, and that's a positive. But what I was saying, or what I was thinking, was that, and actually we're talking about the mentality there. I think sometimes the negativity often outweighs like the positive stuff. So like if you think about the Inverness game, folks said that it was a must win for Hibs against Inverness, and they did win, but Montgomery didn't get any credit in the bank for it because he was expected to win it. Yesterday was a must win game. He did win it. Does he get any credit in the bank for that? I think he should, and I think 100%. Also for the performance. So how do we start like shaking off those little bits of things that have carried us and have shaped our personalities towards Hibs for like 40 plus years?
Wednesday night will be a big one, because that's the thing. It's like, you know, I think if we had lost that game yesterday for a winning position, we would have been having a different conversation every day, like especially going into the derby. But it might have even been going. There would have been a lot of noise to get rid of him last night. Never mind that he shouldn't even get the derby. If then go and lose the derby, that credit, honestly, and not for me, but that credit for yesterday, it'll be wiped out, because the derby is so important in, well, everybody's eyes, but a lot of folk would rather we just won these 3 games this season, whatever it is, and not really bother about the rest. Like that's where it sits, and we tend to fucking know in them. So the manager's always under pressure because of it.
Sorry, Pat, I was going to say, if you cast your mind back to our conversation about the next 6 games, so I think we've had 2 of them now, and we're going into that tricky third one, which is the derby. I think we're probably on course for the points that I think that we thought that we would get, albeit the Aberdeen one was a wee bit off. I'd suggested that a draw would have been okay, but I think we subsequently agreed that it was a must not lose rather than a must win. So we've now got the 3 points against Dundee, and I think we find ourselves in a position on Wednesday where it's also a must not lose.
That's for the manager.
So I don't know.
We could lose it. We could lose it, still finish top 6. But if the manager loses it, there'll be a lot. Any good stuff will be wiped. Yeah. I predicted we would lose on Wednesday when we done our next 6, because we generally do. But I think it's really important he doesn't lose.
I think a lot of people, rightly or wrongly, but I think a lot of Hibs fans are expecting to lose it, and it's almost like they've written, because we've got the 2 it sounds stupid, right? We've got the double header against Ross County to follow it, and it's almost like those two games are. I know that the derby's a free hit, right? I know if I can say that, but it's almost because Hearts are so far ahead as and on the run that they're on and playing. Obviously, they got a scudding yesterday, right? But overall, their form has been terrific over the last couple of months. I think people went, right, we're probably not expecting to get anything for Tynecastle on Wednesday. And I don't know if that takes a wee bit of pressure off, because he's now not going into that game on the back end, not having won a game since December. So that monkey's off the back. We've had good performances against Celtic, Inverness, Aberdeen, and now Dundee, where he's got the win. I think there probably is like a wee bit of credit, and it's almost like how I was talking about yesterday. You can almost split the season into two halves. Like you've got the team pre-January window, and then you've got almost it's like a different team. Like the players that we brought in are so different, and it's changed the way that we're playing. We look like a different beast now. I think like from the January window closing yesterday, I think we saw the benefit of these guys having a few games under their belt now as well, where we had like a pretty dominant, almost 90-minute dominant performance. Not quite the full 90 minutes, right? But we were on top for the vast majority of it. I think he can survive as long as it's not like a fucking 4-0 or like three goals and up. If it's like a 2-0 or 2-1 defeat, he probably comes away from that without too many folks shouting for his head, so long as he goes on to beat Ross County after it. I think that's kind of where we're with it.
It happened between that game and Ross County. So in that period between the derby loss and a Ross County game, there will be loads of shouts for it.
Aye, maybe.
Because that's what we do. Like, that's what happens.
Right, well, we're going to some talking points. Yes, is the answer.
I do. I nodded for anybody that's watching on YouTube. They'll know.
Me too.
Right, the first one we got is from Jeff Ashton. He said, more like it, slow start, but I can cope with that when we then come into a game and pepper the opposition goals. No duffers today, the odd individual mistake, but generally solid. Our number 17 showing why he's a multi-million-pound player. Good partnership with the Beta. So I think we spoke about the right-hand side more than the left-hand side recently, with Boyle and Miller coming back. But Abita and Maolida, they look pretty handy as well.
Abita's been great this season.
Aye.
I was talking about Abita yesterday, and it was around the whole acceptance of mediocrity conversation. I was having a bit of a laugh about it, because I think to begin with, I wasn't overly impressed with Abita, because I thought that he didn't offer much more than Stevenson. What he did offer more than Stevenson was a really good delivery, but we weren't scoring many goals off the back of it. However, I think he's continued to demonstrate it. Probably who was it he played centre half against? Was it Celtic?
Rangers.
Sorry. I think he has. I wouldn't say I was ever like completely against him, but he's definitely won me over. Like, he's a really solid and probably unsung hero at left back.
Yeah.
Which is a wee bit of an irony, because we had a song about him.
Aye. So yeah, not literally unsung.
Yeah.
But, a sung hero, a sung unhero? Is that what you were saying?
Aye.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aye.
That makes me upset.
Murray Smith said, should Ewan, Levitt and Jair accept that they're now back up? Think Ewan and Levitt are great options off the bench, but can't see either being happy about it at all. Today was our strongest starting 11 comfortably. So Levitt and Ewan had been pretty regular starters for us all season. Is this the new normal for them then, that they can expect to start on the bench?
Well, Levitt probably can. I think Ewan will be in and around. I think it's one of them that'll rotate that front three. You know what I mean? The three behind the striker. And like John said, the leader can play either side. I can see Ewan still playing a lot of minutes. He's still one of the most effective in terms of goal creation and goals scored, didn't he? So he's not got to drop out of the team. I think Levitt's maybe further down the pecking order.
If you put yourself in Montgomery's shoes again, why did you not bring Ewan on yesterday? as a replacement for any of the players on the left. Or I suppose he could have played on the right or up front.
Maybe keep him for Wednesday.
Aye. I said
He done with Venti last week.
when I saw the team, I thought there was an element of picking the team with Wednesday in mind. I think that's why Venti started. I would expect Yuan to feature maybe off the start on Wednesday night. He's got a good, like a decent record against Hearts. Tends to turn up in that game. So
do you change? Do you think you go out? Do you think Montgomery goes out with a different starting 11 on Wednesday?
I think Montgomery has that about him. I think he manages the squad. I think he does it he's very deliberate with his subs and the amount of minutes that players get. And I think he does have that sort of view on like utilising the squad to keep everybody fresh rather than having here's my stick on starting 11. That's the impression I get from him.
Thanks.
Ventus Plenty said, Mizian's excellent finish yesterday. Does that make the open goal he missed against Rangers even more frustrating?
No, I mean, was it an open goal he missed? Was it the one the keeper saved?
The keeper saved it, but
it doesn't make it more frustrating. No, it just means that he's now getting up to speed.
Right. Mike Beardsley said, not just yesterday, but so clear how much we missed Lewis Miller while he was away. Brings so much energy and drive to the team. I definitely underestimated his impact until he wasn't there. John, how do you think Miller did yesterday?
I thought he did okay, but my mate suggested that Miller should watch back some videos of himself playing to identify. I think he was suggesting that there was areas for improvement, or there was things about what he does that are frustrating. But
He's a funny one, John. I agree. Like he's a funny one because the team is better, has been better. When back in it, but it just doesn't look like it doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. But he's made the team better. You know what I mean? I just think he looks clumsy and awkward.
So there's maybe an argument to make there that he's made the team better because the right-hand side isn't being targeted like it was when he was absent. I do think he's a good player, and I do think that he's a player that is definitely improved since he started with Hibs. One of my comments, I think, when he started was that he had all the right physical attributes. He's a really athletic footballer, but he was very raw. Like he seemed to be quicker. Like he seemed to be quicker than what he was trying to do with the ball. There was one instance yesterday where he's turned a player over near the dugouts, which was great because I think that's something that we've missed a little bit from a right back, which is having an ability to like beat a player and make the byline. But it's almost like sometimes it's the next part that it's like the brain. Like the goalkeeper, what we were saying, like finding himself out on the edge of the 18-yarder, like shit, what do I do now? But I don't know if that's maybe an area where we're maybe being too critical because players are always going to find themselves in a situation where things didn't quite pan out the way that they wanted to.
Aye.
Sorry, on you go.
I think it's his physical presence that makes the difference. Like he's full of energy, like he just gets up and down that touchline the whole game. But he's solid. Like he doesn't shit out anything. Do you know what I mean? Like you sometimes see players that are like a bit lily livered if you like when they go into tackles, but Miller's just like fuck this, I'm just having it. Like he looks like he relishes that sort of that game. So I think having like a tough physical, he's quite quick and he's got loads and loads of energy. Like he can run all day. Like that makes like a huge difference, and he's not bad on the ball as well. Like his decision making sometimes a wee bit kind of questionable, but more often than not, I think he makes quite good decisions.
I mean, for that one instance yesterday, there was definitely others down the right hand side where he's been involved in like say 1-2s and popping balls through. And I think popping balls through for Boyle to run onto, and I think in different circumstances maybe he gets a better touch in the pass or weights it correctly. Because I think there was maybe one yesterday it was underhit, a wee bit overhit, but that happens throughout the course of a game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. Gus Malcolm said Rocky looked solid. Mariah Welsh is key to how we want to play. Mariah Welsh went off yesterday. I think that's with Wednesday in mind as well, because he's like probably our star midfielder, I think, now.
I hope it was precautionary. It's an odd substitution, I think, to make because is he? I don't remember him being subbed all that often before since he's been playing.
I think he's come off pretty much most games,
What sort of time period?
60, 70 minutes like that. Like,
Right.
one of the slots that Colin
Few shows.
referenced there.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking because I think did he get subbed yesterday about like the 58th minute or something? And I wondered if there was any particular reason. But also, like if you think about comments before, and I think the role that Mariah Welsh plays, it's quite energetic. It requires a lot from him. So if you go back to Montgomery's comments about getting 70 minutes out of folk, give me your all for that time, and then you've got a replacement there for him.
I really like him. I think he's a cracking player, and I think we've signed him on a permanent as well, which is a cracking bit of business for him as well. Right, Alan Woodhouse said a very decent performance. Should have won the game much more comfortably. Front three looked a good combination, and it was great to see Venti score. Maolida's quality and getting better and better. Wednesday will be tough, but I've got a bit of hope now that we can get at them. Colin, did yesterday change your view on how the derby might go?
Try to be positive going into a derby, I guess, but we did look better. They did get a doing, which in a way, like, we're all lovely, but then you go, because then they'll be, you know what they're like in a derby anyway, but on the back of your hiding like that. No, I still don't expect anything from it.
Fair dues. Right, Ventus Plenty said back in the hunt for top six. Dons beat, but not looking like they'll be too much of a threat. Hearts pumped. Was it not about this time last year that they capitulated? We're finishing third.
We give ourselves just a wee bit too much today.
Aye. I was looking at the table before we started. There's a big gap still from fourth and fifth. So Kelly winning yesterday, although it was good that it let us open up a wee bit of gap on Aberdeen, it didn't help us with catching them. And St Mirren I think they were 10 ahead of us. I was like, I think if we could get to the split within 6 points of these teams, we've got a chance if fourth. But I think anything more than that's going to be a struggle because they would need to win one at Hearts, Rangers, or Celtic after the split, assuming we're in the top six. Third's gone, though, isn't it? That went a long time ago. William Graham said, "Can you explain Montgomery's subs? I'm baffled. And was David Marshall actually playing for a big laddie who never comes for a cross?" So the subs, I suppose we kind of spoke about them already. You had Amos coming on for Mariah Welsh, and another one that sort of raised eyebrows was Jantis coming on for. Did he come on for Marcondes?
Marcondes, yeah.
But like you said, Colin, it's maybe like a tightening up because I think by that point Dundee had chucked on Curtis Main and they were kind of going for the physical battle, and you probably want to have another centre half in.
I think I was having a think about the Trantis Marcondes substitution and the time that it took place and the additional time, and again try to put myself in Montgomery's shoes to understand what may be viewed as a baffling decision. So I think there was maybe like 6 minutes remaining of normal time plus another 7 stoppage, and try to take into account what you were saying, Matty, about having one eye on the derby. So if you've got all you can get out of Mariah Welsh, you've got a replacement there in Amos. If you're trying to see out the game, is that a reason to bring Trantis on and keep Marcondes fresh as well? Like, I feel like there's justification as much as they may be unpalatable substitutions.
That makes sense.
Lauren, lost away. Imagine if we had never hung on.
Lauren said Maolida was outstanding, although he won the penalty. Marcondes was disappointing. I would start Amos over Marcondes in the derby for more steel and energy in the middle. Carson saved for Boyle looked a worldie from my seat in the east. Did you see the highlights? You see Boyle going, how did they save that? Stuart said we seem to have a bit of confidence going forward. The game deserved today's win. Just wish we could be a bit more clinical in our finishing to help my blood pressure in the last few minutes. Jez said Mizian and Marcondes were outstanding. It was an entertaining game and the football was enjoyable. Mariah Welsh plays such a big part in that midfield. breaks the play up and wins the ball, but he also gets the attack going from those situations, something we didn't get from Jago. It is an upgrade on Jago, eh? Like, it's fair to say, with no disrespect to Jago, I think we have a more balanced and better midfield now. Neil Waters said, massive win, great 3 points, almost total control without finishing off our chances, which always gives them a chance, but our class up front got us the win. Looking at a much better team, lots of positives going in our next few games. Maolida, different class. Ryan Lyle says, how we never scudded them is beyond me. Best we have played for a while. Maolida is class act. Enjoy him while he is here. Going forward was really good. Great to see Venti score. If his second is offside, football was gone. VAR again.
Can't do VAR for that. Like, you know what I mean? It's football. Like, change the rule. The rules need to change then. Like, if that's what we want him to be on side, but then we can't complain when we concede a goal like that. In that case, you know what I mean? It's fucking black and white or blue and red.
Would you take that? Would you be happy to take the hit on losing a goal like that if it meant we didn't have like the marginal ones go against like that, which to the naked eye looks onside. And if you're coming down to millimeters, which is what it's not even millimeters. Like it's literally millimeters. Right?
It's not smaller.
Yeah, it says off. Fuck it. We'll go with millimeters. Right?
See,
then. If you say, like, see if it's that close, do you just give the attacker the benefit of the doubt and accept that some of the times it's going to go against you? Or do you go with the, you can say one's off and one's not off, so just get it right.
Because then you get into, right, so, like I said, the Boyle one, if they can't decide in the semi-final, if they can't decide, and they've got to go that many fucking angles and times to look at it, and the margin for error, you could dispute as well, because we've not got as many cameras as in England and the big leagues.
Yeah.
Then you've got to give it. If you're not sure, you've got to give it. But they're obviously saying, well, we are sure. It's the margin of error we're disputing. It's like, you either just say, we're not doing offsides, but via VAR, and then you're back to the linesman trying to work it out by looking in two places at one time.
Aye.
Which is where we were. Or we're actually using technology. If we didn't want to use technology, then moan about fucking the linesman getting it wrong then. That'll not stop though. Like, you can't stop that. It's...
See,
you either have it or you don't. It's black and white.
Aye.
See the blue and red lines. Like, I'm going to display my ignorance here, but how do they work, and what do they represent? Because looking at and the reason I ask this is that looking at the offside yesterday, you've got your red line is in front of the blue line, and they're trying to draw like wee dotted dashes up to like the body parts that were presumably offside. But when you look at it, when you look at the two players, their body positions don't appear to align with the lines on the pitch, and I wonder if that creates any sort of confusion, because the red line, which I think is the attacking team, is ahead of the blue line, which would be Dundee in that instance. But Venti wasn't as offside as that red line would suggest.
Honestly, this is the problem, mate. Like, you either trust it or you don't. Yeah, that's it. If you do trust it, get it there.
Yeah.
So what the representation of Venti being offside did not match up with the bodies that was actually offside.
But that's like the illusion you see sometimes with the naked eye on a grass pitch. You've got to, if you're just looking, and you go, he's fucking miles on, and you go, no, but that's because of the act, because you're looking at it on a screen. It needs to be. It's not a straight line on a screen. It's like on an angle for the.
Yeah.
So you're into the optical illusion stuff. Like, we need to get Dynamo down to check here. Offsides. Like, I'm not happy unless Dynamo says it's on.
And maybe this, what I'd suggested yesterday was that I want like a foot. Like, I want the player to be properly offside, like properly ahead or whatever. Like, so I wonder if they can do some.
That's a change in rule. That's a change in rule. Like worldwide then.
Aye.
Yeah. So that's a change in rule worldwide. But if that change doesn't come in, can they do something with the graphics so that I can see a bit of grass between the two of them, so I can say he's clearly offside?
I think see the offside technology used in the Champions League and the World Cup and that, where it's like it goes like a computer generated image, and you can see there's like they put like a wall up almost, and you can see there's a bit poking out. That's kind of what we need. It needs to be like AI doing it, take the human element out of it, because I don't trust the human element.
The thing with the dots is the dots look thicker, right? The dotted line looks thicker. But I think that's because we didn't have as many camera angles, so the margin for error is bigger. So the You know, I think that's what it is. So I think, I genuinely think, because we've not got as good technology as even the English league, never mind the AI stuff that they've got in the big tournaments, we almost need to apply like the margin for errors. That's that close. You just got to have to. And I said that after the Boyle one, and it's not unfortunate, but both times have been Hibs when we've been talking about. I suppose we wouldn't talk about it for anybody else anyway. But you're almost saying you've just got to get the goal there, right? Because it's too close. But then that's not what the rule is. So we need to change the rule. And then when it happens against us, which it will happen, fucking probably the week after the rule gets changed, we then need to go, no, you know what?
That's what we wanted. Aye.
We won't.
Right, we're kind of running out of time. We've got loads of talking points to get through, so we're not going to get time to get through them all. So thank you if you tweeted us, and sorry if we never got through them. So just before we wrap up, a quick look ahead to what's coming up next week. We're at the changing rooms on Monday. The three of us are doing a wee stint for that's at Easter Road at 7 o'clock. The famous 5 stand. I think that's where it's kicking off. Although I think we might be getting into the West Stand. So I think we're going to record the podcast while we're there. It depends on whether it's technically possible or not, but we're potentially going to just record a live one and stream it on YouTube as well. So just watch out on Twitter on Monday for details of that. If we can do it, we will. We'll talk about this more on Week at Hibs when we get into recording that on Thursday. The bit of news about HSL voting against the 2 resolutions. Obviously, that's a members' vote, so it's not the people that run HSL that make the decision. It's the folk who have paid up and are members. They voted on whether or not to approve these. They voted not to. That caused a bit of noise. Do you have any view on that?
I think they had to vote against it. Like, I'm not saying I agree with it because I want the money coming in for the thing, but the whole point of the HSL is to buy shares. And the first vote that they voted on was saying, "But then you can't buy any more shares." So how could they actually vote to say, "No, we didn't want to buy shares," when they've got money in the bank waiting to buy fucking shares? It would contradict the whole purpose of HSL.
One of the points that was made on Hibs, I think, how accurate it is, was that resolution only stood till the next AGM, though. Which I think that changes it. For me, it's like if you can't buy enough for a year, you go, right, that's a wee bit different. Like, can you, because we've not bought them for over a year anyway, I think, because they've not had the opportunity to do it. And I think they've got the money to go ahead and buy the volume of shares that they would need to buy. So I could sort of get the frustration. I didn't know how clear it was made that
I didn't know it was
by either Hibs or HSL that it was time.
I think that's part of HSL's problem throughout is the communication. That the whole, there's been various reasons that never took off, but one of them is the communication, the whole thing, and the reason for being and ongoing communication. Anyway, we'll probably talk about it Thursday.
Aye, we will. And I think Hibs could have done more to engage with them as well. Like Hibs apparently have had no engagement with them whatsoever, which I think is piss poor. What would have been the harm in meeting with them and sort of saying, "Here's what we've got. These are sort of a significant shareholder,
second biggest.
Aye. Why no sit them down and say, like, when you communicate this to your members, this is what you're voting on. This is why we're doing what we're doing. So communicate that as well, rather than
get them on board.
Rather than getting everybody to try and work it out. It's just fucking. It's so.
I think that's standard practice. Yeah.
And I suppose what that leads you to believe is that it's a foregone conclusion that Hibs have already kind of it's going to pass anyway, so they weren't really caring. But I think that's poor as well, because I think you should be. As much as it goes strong as treating folk with contempt, but it's not kicking our off it. And these are Hibs fans that are.
It doesn't matter what you think. Almost.
Aye. Yeah. I thought it was an opportunity missed for Hibs. Right, derby predictions, John.
0-0 or 1-1 score draw. In fact, no. Aye, score draw.
Right. So no 0-0 then. 1-1.
No, score draw.
Right. Colin.
I'm not going to beat, but I'm going to say 2-1 Hibs.
I think it'll be a draw as well, John. I'm going to go with you. I'll say 2-2. That's our default score this season, isn't it? So I think I repeated the first derby, although probably I was going in front and then pegging us back, and I was feeling shite about it this time. But Aye. We'll see what
They need
happens.
to let them score first, because that's the one in the Tynecastle derbies. I always seem to them score first, and then it's
Aye.
always uphill.
Well, all the best then for everybody that's going. Hope you enjoy the night. Like I say, watch out for us on Monday on YouTube, and if you're not a subscriber already, go and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.